Russell Brand's making a lot of sense at the moment. He isn't dealing with the allegations in this video. He's just saying that there is clearly a link between the online harms bill, which passed without any public scrutiny at all, and the attack on him. Now, Mr. Brand must have known. He must have known that his historical sexual escapades were going to come back to bite him. He must have known that, and he should be aware of that, and he should have taken precautions against it. He should have said to his listeners, look, you know, back in the day when I was a younger man and when the fame got to my head, I was fucking around a lot, and you know, and eventually they're going to use that stuff against me to try and diminish my work at the moment. And of course, Russell Brand has a big profile, and I mean, I don't think he's as talented as someone like George Carlin, but I mean, let's give him credit. He's bringing these issues into the public domain, right? Now, again, there are suspicions that Russell Brand is a shill. It'd be very difficult for someone, you know, if they knew he was sincere, would they have allowed him to build up such a large platform? I think it's doubtful, because you can simply remove people. I mean, don't forget, you know, Donald Trump was removed from Twitter, and he was a US president, for God's sake. So YouTube and others could have removed him years ago, claiming terms of service violation. It's very, very easy to get a strike on YouTube. In fact, quite often they don't even look at the content. They just, if you strike someone, they remove your content. So people are paid to strike. The amount of censorship we have in our society is absolutely phenomenal, but it remains a mystery to the majority of people who don't know it's happening. They don't realise it's happening, and when it does, when they're told that it's happening, they are under the mistaken impression that it's hate speech or something that should be. So they're trying to persuade the public to go along with the agenda, that we need to be controlled and that public speech needs to be limited, all for our own good, right? Now, so far as I've heard, almost the allegations against Russell Brand are very, very hard to prove, and even if true, not that serious, I'd say. You know, women say, oh yeah, I had sex with him, but I didn't really want to, you know, I felt like he was pushing me, kind of thing. You know, I mean, I'm sorry, but, you know, 15 years after the event, you know, when the media are paying you to say that, I mean, they are being, let's face it, the media are paying girls, they are paying women to come forward, women are getting monetized. The allegations, anybody can make an allegation. It's open season on Russell Brand, or to be more honest, it's open season on the opinions of Russell Brand, because like I said, whether Russell Brand has innocently stepped into a minefield, or whether he's playing a role, and that he's been, because they've said it in the past, it's all part of the method, that they will give us the heroes, the people for us to follow, right? They will allow us to have certain, because they know there's going to be resentment in society. They know that they can't pull off all this shit without at least some backlash. So in order to control the backlash to a certain extent, they will produce people for us. People have suggested Alex Jones, Russell Brand, Donald Trump. It's hard to say. Tommy Robinson for sure. You know, all these people may well be and probably are shills. I mean, in Donald Trump's case, I think it's inevitable. Russell Brand, I would say it's more likely than not because of his history. But there's always a chance that maybe over the years he's realised there's something badly wrong. I mean, look at Rick Mail. He was murdered. I mean, he had a quad accident. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. But he, you know, he was speaking out. His last movie was about 9/11, you know. Being an inside job. It's a movie that most people don't even know exists. And it wasn't something that they alluded to while praising him to the sky. So there's no, you know, anyway, I did this video, Online Harms and Russell Brand. But one thing is wrong about Russell Brand saying is that Rumble is not a free speech mechanism. None of my followers get informed, almost none of my followers get informed of my uploads. I've been stuck on 190, I've got 196 followers. I haven't got a new follower in like I've been stuck on that number like for like 6 months or a year. I haven't moved up. So basically, this channel is being muzzled by Rumble. Rumble, most of Rumble's content is trash. If you look at it, if you look at the editors' picks, well, you've got Russell Brand there at least. Sneeko, in the letterbox, Cat Turd. It's mostly either it's mainstream stuff, editors' picks, and it's stuff about fighting and celebrities and so on. It's not very. These are kind of lightweight. These aren't really independent people. I mean, it'd be nice if they had a channel where, you know, people like me could be promoted, i.e. very small channels with very few hits, but maybe worthwhile. Oh, yeah, here's hoping. No chance. Yeah. So I'm not massively impressed, but I like this picture, this video by Russell Brand, because it's true. And like I said, we need to focus on what's being said and put to one side, to a certain extent, who's saying it. I'm not, you know, like Russell Brand hasn't got, public image now is rather poor with a lot of people. They say, oh, it's a conspiracy theorist. So look at him, you know, he's been abusing women, all the rest of it. Well, it takes two to tango, and it's not my fault that a lot of young women are starstruck. A lot of women like sleazy rich guys, so that's the fact. So, and again, it's quite likely that Russell Brand is a very different man now to what he was back in the day, right? I mean, how would you like it if all your shit from when you were like 20 or something was presented to you now? Your drunken antics and fights in pubs and sleazy behaviour. How would you like it? And the answer is you wouldn't like it. Very few of us have lived perfect lives. And particularly, I suppose, those people who've got shed loads of money, took loads of drugs, and had lots of access to gullible people. So for sure, Russell Brand has got skeletons in his closet. But big deal. I don't care about it because it's happened donkeys years ago. And now you get the BBC. Well, look, this guy, Nish Kumar, Mr. Gender Bloody, Mr. Diversity box ticker, you know, it's like the BBC are trying to present, and now he's saying young women have been advised to steer clear. Predators are still working on. Well, okay, Nish, why don't you name these fucking predators then? Yeah, on his Pod Save the UK podcast, it's still happening. Of open secrets, we can't name because again of the threats of lawsuits. Come on, Nish. So I'm sorry. Well, they're just trying to. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's all rock and roll, mate. Bloody hell! I mean, fucking hell. Do you know? You never be a Nish Kumar. I mean, to be honest, I've never listened to this guy's comedy, but just the concept of stuffing an Asian man in our face and saying he's a comedian, you really get the feeling they're just trying to. It's about, you know, diversity rather than comedy. You know, in mid 2017, and from that point onwards, it was well known. So hang on a minute, how come you only heard about it in 2017? More allegations to come. Well, like I said, this is guilt by association. Once again, I make the point, it doesn't matter very much whether any of these allegations are true. In my opinion, they're either exaggerated or unproven, or perhaps invented. But it doesn't detract in any way from the fact that the online harms bill, which has been passed without public consultation, is a far greater threat than Russell Brand will ever be, right? Is Nish Kumar, the so-called comedian, interested in that topic? No, this is a diversion. Whether or not Russell Brand is in on the diversion, I don't know. There's a very real possibility he is, and that he's playing a white knight role. Okay, his 33-2. You know, for me personally, it's hard to believe a person would become that famous with the views he's got if he was sincere. So it's quite possible that his position, his role, is to create identity, be a truth seeker in public, or pretend to be, or play the role of a truth seeker in public, and then at an opportune moment, such as during the online harms bill enactment, revelations will come forward, and that da-di-da-di-da. Look, if the media had done the revelations, they should have done them 20 years ago. You don't shut the fucking door after the horse has bolted. If it was an open fucking secret, why didn't the media deal with it years and years and years and years ago? Especially when we had the Jimmy Savile stuff. You know, Jimmy Savile and Rolf Harris and Gary Glitter and things like that, and all kinds of stuff. I mean, and let's not forget, Russell Brand isn't being accused of paedophilia. He's actually only being accused of having sex with adult women, right? Adult women who apparently are not capable of saying no. You know, I'm sorry. Like I said, in hindsight, a lot of women make false allegations. I know that personally, and probably if you're male, so do you. There's a lot of women out there who are very decent and will never do that. You know, sometimes we have regrets in life. Sometimes we regret doing something that we did at the time willingly. But you can't rewrite history. You can't claim after the event, oh, I was raped, simply because you changed your mind, or you're looking back on it, you wish you hadn't done something. It doesn't become rape because you've changed your mind. So Russell Brand probably could have, you know, Russell Brand didn't really need to rape anyone, did he? I mean, if he did occasionally meet a woman who didn't fancy him, then he could move on to the next one who did. Do you know what I'm saying? You can't be attractive to everyone, even because of types. You know, some people have a type. But I would say, especially going back in time, that Russell Brand would probably be an attractive man for a lot of women, right? Especially because he was very famous, right? And in that kind of open-shirted, long-haired look, you know, sort of sultry Pirates of the Caribbean look, it is, so I'm told, attractive to women, at least. So I don't think Russell Brand had to hide around on a canal towpath in the middle of the night looking for someone to rape, right? These stories are about alleged abuse of power. Well, if you're going to use that particular example, then maybe a guy who's got a sports car is abusing his power compared to the guy who doesn't have a sports car. I mean, me, I've got to take my dates, you know, to Wetherspoons, and we'll go by bus. That's not very glamorous, is it? Am I going to accuse a guy who's got a car of abuse of power because he's got a car and I haven't got a car? Right? Not everyone wants to stand in the rain at a rainy bus stop waiting for the bus when, you know, some other people have got a Lamborghini. So abuse of power basically means you've got money, and money opens doors. If you've got money, you can go to the theatre, you can go to a restaurant, you can have a lovely evening, you can go on holiday. You know, it's a lot easier to create a romantic atmosphere standing, you know, at Cape Sunion or something than it would be, you know, at Cricklewood Cemetery. So abuse of power simply means somebody's got money, right? And again, Kumar, this little creep, and do you know what he describes himself? What a complete and utter fucking wanker this man is. I'll tell you why I can tell he's a complete wanker. He says, Kumar said, watching it as a cisgendered heterosexual male comedian. You what? Who the hell, what normal man would describe himself like that? A cisgendered Nish Kumar. I mean, what would his Indian ancestors say about this crap? This man doesn't even know if he's male or female. How can you, there's no such thing as cisgender. This word was created a few years ago as a mockery, right? Cisgendered heterosexual male comedian. You feel a certain sense of guilt and a certain sense of complicity. All right then, so it's your fault, Nish. We'll blame you. Let the women who claim to have been raped by Russell Brand sue you for complicity because you've been working with production companies and producers and providing an infrastructure that allows predators to thrive. Excuse me, are these woke fuckers who for so many years, and suddenly at this moment, after all this time, why now? I'll tell you why. Because Russell Brand, it's either time for Russell Brand or it's a diversion for other much more important issues like this fraudulent war in Ukraine